Jesus said, I am the resurrection and I am life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, yet shall they live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first. I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all things that I heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, that your fruit should remain, that whatever you ask the Father in my name he may give you. These things I command you, that you love one another.
that God his Son not sparing sent him to die. I scarce can take it in that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin.
hung curtains, made pretend cookies, and generally spent hours keeping house until we were too tall to really be comfortable in that playhouse. One of the favorite stories of Rachel, about Rachel, was really occurred before I even remember it, and I'm not even sure Craig was born yet. We did always have kittens around the house and barn. And one day, Rachel was out by the chicken coop that we had and was near the garden where Mom spent a lot of time. So she was out with Mom. And she comes over to Mom with something black and white in her hand. "Look, Mom, I found kitties." Mom panicked. These were not cat kittens. These were baby skunks. Both Mom and Rachel luckily left unscathed, but it's a story that our family heard multiple times. Rachel was born in January of 1950 in Bloomington, Indiana. The name given to her was Judith K. Combs. Due to circumstances we are still unclear about, she was put up for adoption. In 1951, she was staying in a foster home in Noblesville when a couple looking to adopt was given the opportunity to take her home. Bill and Virginia Wood picked her up, gave her the name Rachel Eveleth, and never looked back. The story in our family is Dad looked into those big brown eyes, and that was all it took. Being only 2 pounds when she was born, back then that was a miracle baby. She was small at 15 months when they actually brought her home. But with loving care and her new parents, she grew and flourished. In 1982, with Mom and Dad's blessing, she went on a journey to find the names of her biological parents. It only took her a very short time. The court documents had not been sealed, and the names of her parents were passed on to her. She eventually met both of her biological parents and members of their families, her half-brothers and sisters. She stayed in contact with several of them until her passing. She was passionate about genealogy and regularly delved into family history, about her many family connections, and ours as well. One of her many trips to the archives, she discovered she has a relative, one of her many trips to the archives, she discovered that she is actually a relative of Indiana's own Hoagie Carmichael of Stardust fame. Rachel had 4 wonderful children: Jeff, Jen, Joe, and Julianne, all J's. Easy to remember. They have blessed her with 4 son and daughter-in-laws and 8 great-grandchildren who have provided her with lots of laughter and good stories to pass on to her friends and siblings. Rachel was an avid collector. Sewing machines, Tupperware, crockpots. There was a crockpot she never, ever did not want. If there could be a sewing machine with a cup holder for a phone, a cup holder for her iced tea and a phone holder for her phone, she could stay in the sewing room for weeks. That was her happy place. Many of you will get this next joke. We thought about starting the service 20 minutes late. Rachel time. She was always late, but she always came in with a smile, always had a good story to tell, and she always brought a casserole or a batch of brownies. She loved her many friends, especially her high school classmates that she would regularly meet up with. Those are some of her fondest memories. She shared stories and kept me up to date on what was going on in Westfield after those meetings. Rachel was a fun-loving spirit, so I know all of us in this room have many more stories to share and fond memories of ways she touched your lives. May we all continue to share those stories. Hear Rachel's sweet laughter in our ears, and may these memories always make you smile. Thank you.
As the funeral home staff and I, who are probably very attentive to staying on schedule, were talking about it this morning, I did think of the irony of the fact that she would have probably been late. I wanted to have a time now that we can share stories. So I want to if you have a story that you'd like to share, Rachel, please just come to the microphone and share that story, and then after one person is done, then invite the next, and after we've had a time of sharing those stories, I'll come and conclude in prayer.
Hello, my name is Anita Moore Talbot, and I wanted to talk about friendship. Friendship is a gift from God. I thank God for putting Rachel in my life. We met in the 5th grade. I was impressed by her friendliness and sweetness. I have many good memories of the times we spent together while growing up. As we went through school, all of the girls liked Rachel, and all the boys did too. Even the teachers liked Rachel because she always did the right thing. Even the people in church liked her, and even the shopkeepers in the town of Westfield liked her. That comes from her love of Jesus. She always treated people the way Jesus would want her to. After we graduated high school, we went off to college together, married our high school sweethearts, and eventually had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. We maintained our friendship over the years and kept in touch, even when I moved out of state. I'm so glad I moved back to Indiana 4 years ago so we could spend time together at the end of her life. I will always think of Rachel and remember all the good times we had together. Rachel is in heaven now, enjoying the beauty and majesty of her heavenly home. I thank God for the gift of friendship with Rachel Wood that God blessed me with. Thank you, Jesus. Rachel loved Westfield.
I was a senior when she was a freshman. Of course, back then, the seniors got to initiate freshmen. And it wasn't a pretty sight. But I watched Rachel grow up with a loving family. And watched her when she came back to Westfield and we started getting together and so forth. We talk about all the memories that we had growing up in Westfield. We'd get together, a bunch of us on Sunday night, and maybe go out for pizza or Mexican food or something. But one of the favorite pastimes I had with Rachel was talking on the phone. We get to talking, and we get to talking about all the people that had moved into Westfield that we weren't sure about. Were they really Westfield people or not? We talked about our parents and how special it was to grow up in this small town. And you knew everybody, whether you were a Methodist or Quaker. We knew everybody and we loved each other. I know when I got married, and I married a former Westfield boy, and one of those Westfield neighbors. We all got along, and she would call him if she needed help with anything. And we just became very, very special friends. And I know Sydney Field said something about there's trouble. And I said, yeah, Rachel and I used to be trouble together. I'm going to miss her as all of you will too. She loved her family. She loved the grandkids. That's what she talked about. Was her she was Nana to all those kids. And that was pretty special. Anyway, thanks, Rachel, for the loving memories.
I'm one of those persons that probably ought to leave my shoes at the back door or at the city gates. I was not born and raised in this. And Rachel, however, was the person that adopted me into the community. And she made me a Westonian. Since 2008, several times a week, I have always had a phone conversation with Rachel. She would call me, I would call her. She was kind of, we had an interesting friendship. It was kind of a cross between aunt, friend, sister, and pal. And we knew we could get in trouble with anything Westfield. She dragged me into history in Westfield, and it was a great experience. And over the years, all the parts of the puzzle have come together as I met people and known them and worked with them. One time, when her parents' family farm that they built a home on went for sale, Rachel wanted to go see the house. And she always talked about this house that her parents had. So she insisted that I meet her there, go there with her. So we drove out to the farm, out to the house. And she was just reminiscing. I had my notepad out, and I was writing as quick as I could write. So I like to record things for the Historical Society. And there was this little cat, so we're back to kittens, that popped out of the back outbuilding. And it started to cry, and it came over to car, and it found Rachel. And the next thing we know, that cat climbed into the car and wanted to go home. So Rachel adopted that cat. We called it, she said, what should we name it? I said, well, I'm going to name it after your mother. So we called it Jeannie. She had that cat for a little while, and then one of the neighbors wanted the cat, and so Rachel graciously gave the cat to her. And that really was like Rachel. Rachel could just love everybody. Also, she was so loyal to her family and friends and her community. You didn't want to say anything bad about them. She'd let you know that you were on the wrong side of the river. So I'm so grateful for her. I'm a better person. I'm a happier person because I've known her. I'm grateful for her and her family. God bless Rachel. She'll always be in my heart.
I'm Gloria Stackhouse Del Greco, and last year we needed to take a trip, and my mother was living with us, and she needed to have 24-hour care, so we had her go to Wellbrook. Well, Rachel was at Wellbrook, and Rachel made sure she kept an eye on my mother while she was there. Well, when she went, my mom always liked to have her morning coffee, and so I sent a cup with her that had her name on it, Phyllis Stackhouse. And I thought, surely they won't lose that. Well, when we went to pick her up, they couldn't find the cup. Well, a couple weeks later, Rachel said, well, I was in the dining room, and they served coffee, and here was Phyllis's cup. And she said, I know who that lady is, and I'm taking this cup for her. And so she brought the cup, and she said, Gloria, I have your mother's cup. And she would call me about once a week, and we'd chat. And it was always, I'd always say, well, we miss you. Can we come get you and take you to club with us? And she'd go, well, I'm not quite ready this week. But, I know we're going to miss her. She always had a smile. And I wouldn't be surprised if once she got to heaven, she didn't look my mother up to see if she could help her, because she was always taking care of people. And she was a sweetheart that we will greatly, greatly miss. And I know, you grandkids, you don't know how great she loved you. She talked about you all the time. You were always on her mind. And that's something you should be proud of and be happy about.
You all can hear me. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But you can all hear me. Rachel was my guardian angel. I've known her for 30 years, and I knew her in the church. And she was a teacher to my sons and to the neighborhood kids. You'd always comment about some of the lessons that she would have, that she would do. It seemed like when I was retired from teaching, I went into business and had an office that was in Castleton. And all of a sudden, I noticed that Rachel had an office in Castleton too, at the same office. She wasn't nosy or anything like that. She just wanted to make sure that I was okay. She'd invite me to her house many times. And the latest thing that we had, even though she was sick, I had moved in Noblesville to another place, and I needed some help. She knew that I needed some help. And she got church members to help me, and help my wife who was crippled, and she's not too well either. But she always seemed to be around when I needed something or something. She was just a terrific person. We had, when she moved over in Westfield, we delivered some meals to her. She liked Michelangelo's. And so she would order the meal and everything else. She liked chocolate cake. She liked cheesecake and spaghetti. And so we would talk to her and bring her meals. And that was a wonderful time to be with Rachel. She was always Christ-like. She was tremendous. She had her faults. Yeah, okay. We all do. We're human. But there was always a good feeling when you were around Rachel. And she made you feel good. You know, the crock pots that she made, all that, the dinners that she invited me to. I appreciated Rachel. Glad that I know.
Hi, everybody. These comments are unrehearsed, and I really like to rehearse, so please bear with me. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. You know, it's been so much recently that it's nice to hear these other stories. And I would say that as a little kid, my mom was always going everywhere, and you never knew really where she was going. But a lot of times, I got thrown in the front seat. I got to ride in the front seat a lot. Child of the 80s. I don't know. So many car seats. But some favorite things I wanted to share is she allowed me to buy Christmas presents and birthday presents before my actual Christmas or birthday. And would say, I'll forget about it. So I always appreciated that she'd take me shopping and I got to pick out things, and even if it was like October and Christmas was in December, and I'd act surprised. So that's fun. One time, embarrassingly, my junior year of high school, I got picked up for shoplifting, and the sheriff almost also took her down to Marion County Jail because she absolutely freaked out on him, which I appreciate the mama bear in her. So that's that she was willing to, I don't know, it was just quite an experience for me to see like that side of a mom come out. Here I am sharing it, but in some ways it's a funny story for me because I never did it again. She also really loved her telephone. I actually think about like the 80s, the really long cords that she could, and her whole kitchen, you could actually go around it in circles. And sometimes when I was in trouble, I'd just run around in circles and she'd run after me and you could never, But the phone cord actually could go almost the whole way around the kitchen as well. And sometimes she liked to talk on the phone for really long time, and then she'd be walking around the kitchen and the cord would be all tangled. And I think about her now and how she still had her cell phone, and how many of you talk about how often she talked to you every day or every week. So I'm glad that she was able to have that time with you. And so how that connects to me now is, she also loved her family history, and she liked to talk a lot, and she liked to talk very quickly, and all of a sudden it was dates and people and grandparents and him from Ellis Island, and they came over in this Scottish castle, and King, I don't know, it became, and on this farm homestead where such and such used to live, oh, you remember where the old tree burned down. Clearly it stuck. But what I did gather from that is that she really was passionate about her friends, and specifically passionate about history, and I appreciate those lessons that she's shared with us. She also did sew a lot. I did not. So I did not get those skills at all. One time I sewed a pair of pants down the middle seam together, and I was in 5th grade, and I quit. That was it. No more sewing for me. So hopefully she's appreciative of my other talents, but sewing is not that. But I did always appreciate her value towards sewing and towards the home economics and for serving others. So as a proper millennial that I am, I generally say, text me, don't leave me a voicemail, because I probably won't listen to it. I understand that I probably should. However, what I want to share with you is that she did not agree with that. And she left me many a voicemail that is still unread and unlistened to. So now I have all these voicemails from Mom that I've been listening to. So I wanted to share with you this one that I'm glad I saved. As kind of a final thing, because I really appreciated that she also was very welcoming to me and my life and my wife Meg. So I just wanted to play this for you. This is from Christmas. It's fun.
Hi, Julie.
Oh, nope. That's not it. Well, that went well. Oh, goodness. There was another one, but, well, I don't know where it went. Anyway, it was a good one. It said, Merry Christmas. I'm doing okay. I love you so much, and much love to Meg. Can't wait to see you. So I thought that was really sweet. So thank you.
Rachel knew everybody. Well, that can't possibly be true, but Rachel seemed to know everybody. Lexi and I are also deeply involved in family history, and it always seemed like when we found somebody, Rachel would say, "Oh, I know, that's my third cousin twice removed. They lived over on Westfield," and she'd give me a life history. She'd be able to recite it. It's been said by sociologists that there are 6 degrees of separation from every person in the world. I think for Rachel, it's only 2 degrees of separation. But what a delight it is. The author Charles Dickens, in his story, The Christmas Carol, that we love so much, Charles Dickens said, "You can measure the success of a person by their friends. Please take a look around and see how many friends there are here to honor Rachel. I'm so glad to have known you, and I'm so glad to know you. Some of you I haven't seen for a long time, and I'm glad to see you again. We love you, and we look forward to a great reunion in that great third act of life. Thank you very much."
Thank you to all of you who shared stories.
Made Rachel present again with us. In a moment, we have a slight change from the service. I'll actually pray a benediction, and after I do, we'll recess with Rachel and the family. So if you would, please join in singing the hymn as we recess from the space. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. In Jesus' name.